Originally, this was supposed to be 2, maybe 3 videos, but everything started coming together more and more by the day. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to waste that much time, not going to put in that much effort. I'm just going to make it all one big video so that everybody knows it is all one topic pertaining to the same stupid nonsense that we continuously have to talk about, because apparently it's always necessary to do something dumb in response to what you lack context to. A couple days ago, a woman pleaded guilty for fraud because she got a bunch of money from all those guilty white people who feel bad about the racist acts of themselves and their ancestors and all of white supremacy, because it's a lucrative business to get into until it's time to start asking where the money at. And a black woman came out and read the riot act of anybody who does something like this, and they claim to care about the black lives.
A woman who was involved in the Black Lives Matter protest that led to Edward Colston's statue being thrown into Bristol Harbour has pleaded guilty to fraud after £30,000 mysteriously went missing. Zahra Salim admitted 1 count of fraud by abuse of position. She set up a GoFundMe page in 2020 before the Colston process. Now, any money left over was due to be given to a charity, but none of the money is alleged to have been handed over. Fascinating. Joining me now is GB News presenter Nana Akua. Nana, great to have you on the show. Thank you very, very much. I mean, what do you make of this?
To be honest with you, Patrick, I'm not even slightly surprised at all of this. If you look at the sort of background of Black Lives Matter, because she was kind of working in their name, Patrisse Cullors, she was one of the founding members of Black Lives Matter in the States. And of course, there was huge question over what happened to a lot of the money that she acquired from Black Lives Matter. I think they made about 90 million in terms of dollars there, just literally capitalizing on white guilt, which is what they called it themselves. So it really is no surprise that this woman, Zahra Salim, I think that's how you say it, she's 23. Apparently it was about £30,000 that she had got on a GoFundMe page. It was meant for masks and things like that for people at the demonstration. What was left was meant to go to a charity called Your Mindset. And in the end, of course, that money didn't go to the charity. And it's quite sad because near the end, as you read through the article, it seems as though that charity was of young people, many of whom aren't here anymore. So it sounds like that was and it was to take them to Africa. So, you know, this comes as no great surprise. And I hear it a lot. And these are people who are capitalizing on a form of white guilt, really, making a lot of people feel guilty and cadging on the back of something. Toppling that statue, of course, very posh names of people who toppled the statue. They didn't face any criminal charges, which I find astonishing. But it's in her interests, especially in a lot of black people's interests, some of them supporting Black Lives Matter, to keep this victimhood narrative going because there's money in it. There's money in being a victim. I mean, Harry and Meghan have showed you that if there's anything to be seen. But that's why a lot of them wouldn't like someone like me who calls it out and says, look, Black Lives Matter, the name itself is divisive. The movement is divisive. And in the end, guess what? Turns out that some of the organisers there are embroiled in what will appear to be fraud. It is no surprise at all, Patrick.
No, exactly. And what do you make of the way that she turned up to court? I think we've got a picture for people listening on radio. I'll talk you through it. It doesn't take me too long to talk you through it, basically. She's wearing a burqa, so there you go, with glasses on as well. I mean, what do you make of that? And a heavy raincoat. I mean, is there something of the coward about that, do you think?
Well, there is something. I mean, listen. She may say she's Muslim, which perhaps she is, and that's why she's wearing the burqa and the glasses. Fair enough, but she's hiding her face, which doesn't say much. We've got pictures of her anyway, so it's not going to do anything for her cause. But this is what discredits these kind of movements. They're supposedly Marxists. Marxists are supposed to be sharing out. Patrisse Cullors, turns out she bought about 5 different properties, gave money to her brother or whoever it was that was in the organisation. Others within the organisation actually criticised her for capitalising on the whole issue of racism. And to me, it's just yet another ridiculous phenomenon, Black Lives Matter. And, well, I couldn't stand it at the start. And I was right. It's just to me, it's just a fraudulent organisation. That's my view.
Yeah, and just tell me a little bit, Nana. You mentioned there about how you would not particularly, your views would not be viewed particularly favourably, potentially amongst the, I'm generalising here, but wider black community, or BLM supporting black community, I suppose. Why is that?
Well, because I've called it out, haven't I? I've looked at it and said, look, there's very little that a black person can't do that a white person can do. In fact, I can't think of anything. And a lot of these movements are actually, to me, they're quite backward movements, because you're asking to go back to almost a form of apartheid where you're separating people based on the colour of their skin, and then you're privileging or not privileging. And I think it's divisive, because it's upsetting for a lot of white people who will see that and don't see it this way. And it's divisive for people who aren't of the race that you're saying the life matters. And for me, seeing that, I'll be honest, I face more racism from black people than I ever have from any white people. And just simply for calling a lot of this out, I find it incredible that that would be the case. But that is the bottom line, in my experience, that some of the most racist people towards me have been people of colour, because they're not happy with me because I'm supposedly a traitor for daring to say that this particular behaviour is unacceptable. And I'm quite tired of seeing it, really. People need to stop calling things out in terms of colour, try to stop seeing colour in individuals and look at what they're doing, and using an organisation like Black Lives Matter to cover over when you're doing something bad and illegal, so fraudulent, is just quite typical, really, of this sort of thing, to be honest.
And I'm hearing that, and I'm understanding this woman is genuinely upset at not just this idiot, but multiple idiots over the years who have perpetuated the nonsense of, all right, white people, you're bad. Black people, the victims. Give us the money and we will save the community. And by community, we just mean our family tree, because everybody else, we're not really worried about them. And I see all this, and at the exact same time, I'm hearing hashtag BLM is trending again over an individual who I believe is not black being shot by the police and the case being dismissed.
Now at 4 o'clock, charges dismissed. The case against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial has been thrown out after defense attorneys argued today that he acted in self-defense when he shot and killed Eddie Irisari in August. The judge threw out the case, citing a lack of evidence. Tuesday afternoon, I'm Sarah Bloomquist.
And I'm Brian Taft. The big story on Action News today is that unexpected twist in the case against former officer Mark Dial. The DA's office has already filed a motion to reinstate all the charges.
Action News reporter Maggie Kent was in court today when the judge made this ruling. She's live now in Center City with the full details. Maggie.
Sarah and Brian, shock, surprise, disgust on one side of the courtroom. This courtroom was packed when Judge Pugh made her decision to throw out all of the charges against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial. For Mark Dial's family, it was cheering, but for the family of Eddie Irisari, it was anguish and a feeling, a temporary one, of defeat.
There should have been justice today. This is sad. This is really sad, because there goes again. Your officers can go out here and kill a person that's not doing anything and get away with murder.
Leaving the courthouse in tears, the family of Eddie Irisari is demanding an appeal. Today, Judge Wendy Pugh dismissed all charges against former officer Mark Dial, who fatally shot Irisari 6 times during an erratic driving traffic stop in Kensington on August 14th. The body camera footage of Dial was shown, as was body camera footage from Michael Morris, his partner, who testified today. This is surveillance video of the incident. It was played as prosecutors argued for first-degree murder, third-degree murder, voluntary manslaughter, aggravated assault, and other charges. Judge Pugh cited insufficient evidence for such charges.
How can it be lack of evidence? The evidence is there in your face. The videos was played in the courtroom, all of the videos. What is lack of evidence to you, Judge?
The district attorney's office is already filing paperwork for an appeal, refiling the same charges against Dial.
We will be appealing this decision by the end of the day.
The defense for Mark Dial, who was dismissed from the police force, says this was the right decision.
There's no doubt about the fact that he believed it was a gun. And the video shows that after he fired, he continued to try to take cover. You only take cover when you believe it's a gun. The only right thing to do happened here in this case, and that was a dismissal of all charges.
Again, the district attorney's office has already filed a motion to reinstate all of the charges against the former police officer. That includes first-degree and third-degree murder, a voluntary manslaughter, aggravated assault, and other charges. Dial has been freed after spending 1 week behind bars as he awaited this preliminary hearing today.
And what's funny is that I see all the videos of people breaking in stores in response to this, because that's the perfect way to get justice. breaking into people's stores and stealing everything, thinking that that's going to get people to understand the plight of the poor, disenfranchised, BIPOC POCs that exist in the world, not realizing that you doing that will lead to these stores packing the fuck up and leaving these areas. Why? Not because they're racist, not because of white supremacy, but strictly because you keep fucking robbing them, therefore taking away luxury, opportunities, and also necessities away from people who need these things like phones, like shoes, like shirts, like groceries, because these stores aren't really interested in losing any money from a bunch of people stealing from them on a continuous basis, especially if they're gonna pretend like it's all for the sake of somebody they don't even know. Which, by the way, I know that the case was dismissed, but the people who are supposed to be making sure that this is something that happened and the person who shot this man is supposed to go to jail immediately appealed it, and we're waiting for that process to go out. So it's not over in the legal sense, it's just over in the mindset of people who feel as though they lack the context to understand, hey, this happened, here's the outcome we didn't want, it's time to break into some shit. And it was funny that somebody left a comment on one of my videos asking me if I was gonna talk about somebody named Meatball, and I immediately thought it was a porn star. Turns out this person was there live streaming it. I don't think they were engaging, but they were cheering people on, and they also got arrested. And I believe this is the mugshot that was given to us, because you see, when you're around stupid shit and you're cheering on stupid shit, and instead of actually getting away from that stupid shit, you just get a little bit closer, eventually you're gonna have to suffer along with all the people who are actually doing the stupid shit, because you thought it was funny to get some likes on TikTok and Instagram instead of getting the fuck up out of there.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody! Everybody must eat! Yes! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! That's what I'm talking about! Rest well, Eddie! Rest well, Eddie! Uh-oh, look, here come more people. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm interested in having the unique conversation that is, how long are we going to keep playing the game of we lack the context to understand something is going on, we come to a decision that we don't agree with, we vandalize our own city, and then we cry about the fact that our city doesn't have resources or stores that we would want, and we have to drive 20, 30, 40, 50 an hour just to get to one of these stores because we deem it unfair that these stores don't come into our areas, rinse, repeat. At what point do we acknowledge something is a problem there in order for us to actually get to a decision? Because I've already argued enough that the picking and choosing of black lives doesn't really hold dear. I've argued that these organizations and leaders don't really care about you. They just care about that sweet dollar because they know you don't know how to fix anything. They just know you got money that you would throw at it because your low self-esteem and your ego will make you feel good because you helped an organization. You donated to people's mansion fund and their own course of luxury because you thought that you were saving the world when in reality you were just funding somebody's luxury. And at what point can we honestly stop the fun little game of doing dumb shit in response to shit we don't know about? Because it's getting a little old, it's getting a little bit repetitive, and it's getting embarrassing how people will excuse it unless it happens to them or it personally affects them. And that course of action is even dumber because how are you perfectly fine with all these places getting vandalized, burned down, broken into, stolen from, and yet if it happens to you, you want everybody to give a fuck about you when you are verbally out there seeking and laughing at it happening to other people? I think everyone can agree that the idea of wanting to help the less fortunate would be a fantastic idea, and the execution would be perfect if idiots weren't money hungry, always preying upon the stupid people and guaranteeing themselves money because they know the stupid people are going to give them that money. It would be a lot simpler if we had actual discourse to solve the problem and not think piece TikToks or anecdotes from people who just want you to vote for them in the future. It would be beneficial if people didn't set themselves up to be in situations that would get them arrested and give us mugshots for us to laugh at, because how stupid could you be for even being near any of that shit? It would be very much helpful if people would wait for more context, understand that all these different moments in time where you scream justice for the unjustifiable does not work and hinders the entire concept of Black Lives Matter. I wish people would stop picking and choosing which Black Lives Matter based upon ideologies, political affiliations, or your personal little fifis. And I wish you motherfuckers would admit BLM, whether if it's the organization or just the words, is a fucking scam. Because the more we see it, the more the feather goes in my cap that I'm right for ending all my videos the way I do. Is it's by saying like, share, subscribe, and oh, by the way, fuck BLM.